Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. I am your host today. I am Zachinko Finch, and as always, joined by my wonderful friend, excellent co-host, just all-round generally good human being, Gregory Elliott. How are you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Look, we said in our pre-season previews that one draw was okay, and now we've got out of the way. So
I think a draw.
Right. I've got a beer
Slide.
on. We're loving the Sunday evening vibes.
Yeah, I think a draw against a team that we would probably be put up there as one of the few teams that could probably beat us, which I know is going to come back to bite me, I'm sure, isn't really that bad. But you know, we could have been better, could have been worse, and we're just going to have to accept it for what it is.
Well, if you think about
it's not a loss, so I'll take it.
Yeah, if you win all of your home games and draw all of your away games, that's pretty much good enough form to guarantee winning the league. So that's where we're at so far in the season. So
we know what this league's all about, and like we've seen some again like strange results over the weekend. So, or strange, unexpected results over the weekend, right? And this was, I think, if most people had said probably a 1-1 draw, most people probably would have taken it. It's just upsetting the way we gave the goal away, right? Like, but at the same time, we'll get into that once we talk a little bit, Greg, about the lineups. So obviously they came out a bit beforehand. How do you feel? Obviously, one of the things we keep talking about. Obviously, this five at the back malarkey, which isn't really five at the back. Let's face it, it's three at the back with two wingers.
Three at the back with two wingers, yeah.
So because of that, was it a bit of a shock to you that we ended up having, Fraser where he was?
No, we saw him utilised in a similar position some of the time by Russell Martin. If we remember back to our last championship season, he is a very versatile player who has the quality to deliver a ball in, and has shown us this season that he's got himself into, a kind of shape where he can be and put himself about all over the pitch. And with that amount of engine behind him and that quality of delivery of a ball, which he showed today with the assist, I mean, it's a logical position for him. I mean, they were saying on the commentary that wing-back is one of the hardest positions to play. But he's got the legs for it. He's got the quality of the ball. It makes sense. And he's not worse defensively than Sugawara.
Yeah. It's, again, like, I think he's a person that at the beginning of the season, I think a lot of people had written off. I even remember comments on a couple of our TikToks being like, we need to get rid of the dead wood, and that included Fraser. He seems to be able to like play any of the positions that's kind of asked for him. He very much just seems to want to keep his head down and play the football, right? I think maybe we all read a little bit too.
It was a transfer that was seen as like a player with poor attitude from some other clubs.
Yeah.
And was sort of brought in as Russell Martin's mate to show the willingness to put the work in and get into the fantastic shape he's in and get himself to the front of the queue to be one of the first names on the team sheet it's impressive. It's a really solid effort, and I think that he was brilliant against Wrexham. I thought that he was quite good against Ipswich, and like I say, got the assist and put himself about, and I just don't think you can ask for more than that.
Yeah, no, I agree. As I said, it's just it seemed so odd for all of us. Like, I think even we were talking about we expected him to probably go. And it's the fact that I think that a lot of us maybe put too much emphasis on his relationship with Russell Martin, right? And that being probably one of the main reasons. And I think part of that is due to when Martin went, that was kind of it. We didn't really see him in the rest of the time in the Premier League. Didn't really see him. And as like, I think that Juric was asked about him once, right? His response to that was like, there's just other people that are better than him. And that might have been the case at the time. Like,
And to be honest, in the Premier League, that probably is very much the case. I feel like he sort of found his level here. But honestly, of the two wing backs that were picked, I was probably more surprised that Wellington got in over Manning than I was that Fraser got in over Sugawara.
Is that just a case of he played 2 games in like short period of time? I mean, he didn't play the full 90 the other week, right? So like, it's not. I don't know. I was also a little bit perplexed. It might just be a simple case of rotating, right? Because obviously, Sugawara didn't start.
Look, it is a difficult position to play, and I think Manning had a full preseason, right? Because he was a bit injured at the start, so he only managed to take part a bit. Or am I remembering that wrong?
I don't know. It's been a while, but like I don't know if that was entirely true, or alternatively, he was just not really about as much as we thought in like some of those earlier games. But obviously, Manning did eventually come on anyway.
Yeah, and I mean it was needed at that point. But yeah, I mean I think that inevitably because of the way that we're playing those roles and the importance that those roles have and the amount of place of the pitch that those roles have to cover the distance, I feel like they're always going to be needing to be rotated and to be the positions that change in the game because you can't drop off and walk for any minute in those positions. You've got to be busting a gut every time. And yeah, I mean Wellington got a pretty silly yellow, and then made himself a bit of a target for the duration that until he got taken off. But look, I don't think Wellington had a bad game either. I was a bit surprised that Manning hadn't done enough to earn himself his way in.
Yeah, as I said, it could be as simple as the fact that having probably a hectic weekend last weekend, starting against Northampton. Maybe it's just a simple case of trying to get managing minutes, especially we've seen that with both our wing backs, whatever you want to call them nowadays, as well, right? Like, Sugawara came on eventually, but you kind of expected him to start. I wouldn't have initially put Fraser in that role, but he was in that role today. How do you feel about the defence? Because obviously, I'm not going to be dumb enough to make any assumptions about Stevens, and Stevens seems to have played pretty well. So, as well as I think there was like a headed ball out or something that I think was a bit.
There was a very dodgy header back to Bazunu that eventually ended up in Sammy Smodics getting absolutely annihilated, but thankfully Bazunu got the touch on the ball first, so that was seen as a foul on the goalie. But
other than that,
I think that was more luck than judgment. He probably could have done better than he did clearing the ball when it came to him in the goal, but I don't put the fault entirely in blame for that because I sat there and watched the slow motion replay and counted how many Saints players should have cleared that ball, and it was half of the outfield team. It was ridiculous.
We went a bit Russell Martin about it, right? Like,
I don't want to speak too negatively of the defence, so I'm just going to not comment.
That's fair. So you feel like
I think that I want to give the benefit of the doubt and say that Harwood Bellis is rusty and will hopefully find his footing. Stevens did not have the best game overall. Found himself out of position a couple of times. Made a couple of very questionable decisions.
Of course, she's real young, right?
Yeah. Look, the only goal we managed to concede was the one we put in the back of our own net, so I guess that's a positive. It's a concern. It was.
I was slightly shocked for Taylor Harwood-Bellis getting a start. If I'm totally honest, like I think we talked about in the build-up. Like I would have preferred maybe Wood over him.
I think if you're looking at it from the sense of a lineup, I felt very much before the game that give or take maybe 2 question marks, these are probably the 11 best players we have in a formation, right? This is probably, player for player, our strongest 11. Would you disagree?
I would say Manning over Wellington. I would have also said
that's the big one. I think. Yeah, I agree with that.
I would also say I don't I don't know if I'm convinced Armour's going to have the same season that he's had thus far. I would also say that...
Yeah, but I mean, if you're looking at what else we've got available, we've got an unproven talent in Damien Downs who, from what we have seen from
Has
him,
missed sitters,
has
yeah.
missed 2 very clear chances. Ross Stewart, who is befallen another mystery illness, which hopefully isn't a torn cruciate or something ridiculous, because, I mean, I just missed the medical room or something. I don't know. It's really unfortunate. And what Cameron Archer, who I would hear an argument about the like for like swap of Archer for Armstrong, but I think if you look at records in this league, you have to put Armour in over Archer at the moment.
So what I'm hearing, Greg, is that maybe we need some slight injection of quality into the team, perhaps via a transfer or two before the end of the window. Because what we currently have is, a bit of a struggle. But I would have argued that maybe, considering Taylor Harwood-Bellis has been out injured, and yes, and he played on Tuesday, I probably would have started either Ronnie Edwards or Nathan Wood. I probably would have picked Wood over Edwards just because Edwards has had a few rocky, shaky starts to the game, right?
Yeah.
For the last, admittedly, it's only 2 games in, but I it's one of those things where obviously they're human beings, and I appreciate that. I don't want to be too critical 2 games in, but it is also one of those things, Greg, that look at the state of our defence last year, look at how much we conceded, look at how much it's changed. Okay, so Bednarek's not here, but you've got Taylor Harwood-Bellis and Jack Stevens. Jack Stevens, who's massively redeemed himself in the last game or so, not as much today as we probably would have liked. But where I'm at is that considering Harwood-Bellis has been out for that long, with an injury for so long, played a bit of a game the other day, I am very surprised he started today in what is going to be, as we've discussed, not like a 6-pointer, but it is going to be important down the line. And
I don't think that Harwood-Bellis was bad. He had obviously the goal. I mean, I don't think he can be entirely to blame for the goal, right?
No,
sure, it's him that it's bounced off the chest of, but by the time it's got to him, like I say, half the team should have dealt with it better.
Multiple opportunities of where it should have been dealt with, right?
Yeah, but there were a couple of other moments in the game where he was just slightly off the pace, right? Which can definitely be attributed to sharpness. Like there was one where he tried to go on one of these darting runs up through the middle to find Fraser, but just had the ball nicked off him, and then it opened him up to the counter attack, and you just think, well, it's just like a split off, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think defensively, other than that, he was too bad. So there are a couple of moments like that were a bit questionable, but
it was never going to be a walkover. Let's face it. Like we drew. Like we're almost talking about this like it's a loss. It's not. It's just that. I think that
there are lots of positives to take. I think the problem is that you asked me about the defence, and I don't think there were a lot of positives. I just think there were a lot of silly little mistakes. Nothing like major, but just a few, like Quashie with a few misplaced passes or passing out of play. Stevens just like stepping one man too high up and then getting turned, and then us, exposing us a bit.
So what I'm hearing is one to move on from, right?
Yeah.
We got a point out of it. We should be happy, but unfortunately, Greg, we still got to talk about some of the rest of the game, and we'll do that after a word from our partners at Bionique.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
And we are back. So, Greg, we didn't even really finish talking about the lineup. As you said, you kind of thought it was the strongest team we could have put out.
Yeah, I think so.
We had some slight disagreements around that, but there we are.
There are a couple that I'd hear arguments for on that, right? But I think, more or less, that's probably the 11 best players we've got.
would you not move to a 4 at the back to try and push everything up a bit more? Or not?
I mean, I feel like putting 4 at the back brings a player back from our current lineup of 3 at the back and 7 attacking players. Like,
so is it? So that's what I mean. Is it just the quality that's the issue, or what? Because obviously, like you're right, we had Charles and Downs, which is expected.
Yeah,
they've already formed that partnership and will probably continue to play those roles unless Aribo
Downs avoiding a book today. Good effort.
Just to ruin everyone's safest bet in football.
We'll put the bet on today. Yeah.
you gave some advice. That was the issue. You heard it. And then obviously, Matty's back in the fold. Jay Robinson, as you said, Armour. So how about we talk about Jay Robinson, slightly more exciting part of the game, right?
Yeah, well, look, he was involved and he was creative and he struggled a bit in the second half. The stat they gave when he was taken off in the second half, he only managed 4 touches in the entire second half. But I will say that one of those 4 was a shot that drew a very good save. So right before he was taken off. So, even with that, presumably struggling, he's played quite a lot of minutes in the last week and he's still only young. He was still that creative spark for us. I mean, he was probably the most creative player on the pitch, second to maybe Fraser today. And I mean, maybe that in itself is a concern that he's sort of 18. But
yeah, but it's like one of those things you were talking about. You talked about all last season, dribbling, right? It's all about managing the minutes and the fact that if we keep dribbling and hopefully he gets his head in the right place, that could maybe be playing both at the same time. Who knows what could happen? And this is more where I know that I'm talking about removing an extra defender or extra wing back and replacing them with maybe another attacking player that going forward. It's because I think we should be doing that a lot often. But to be fair, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the stats at all, Greg, but it is so weird how evenly matched as a team we were. Total passes, they had 338, we had 353. Then it was stuff accurate passes, 286 for us, 268 for them. Backward passes for them, 55, 49.
It was a very tight game. The second half was scrappy, almost. Yeah. But look, I mean, Robinson found more success coming in through the middle a bit more. We heard in, I don't know which interview with Will Still he was talking about, but he was talking about we lack width and forward wide players. What we have is inside forwards, and I think Robinson showed that with his positioning today, and I thought he was really good. And obviously the goal, a brilliant cross from Fraser, and a brilliant piece of play from Matty Fernandez to get Fraser into that position as well.
Yeah, this is what I worry about losing him, because again, it's
coming together nicely, but
those are the things, Greg, from last season when this is the problem also, to be clear, about looking at statistics, right? When you were looking at assists, if he is the driving force of an attack and then it passes across to somebody and that person then chips it in and it gets an assist.
Look, there's only one thing you need to know that stats are not the be-all and end-all of the game, and which I thoroughly enjoyed, by the way, in the pre-match presser from Will Still, him coming out and saying, I'm not really a stats guy. Love that.
Especially considering how much scores is, but there we are. I guess more data guy, right?
All you need to know that assists are not necessarily a useful statistic is that Damien Downs got one for missing the shot last week, right?
Yeah.
Even the most generous of analytics of that assessments, right? Nobody's looking at that going, that's a great layoff. What an unbelievable tap to the back post, right? That was a shot that he scuffed. Let's not kid anyone. That's gone down as an assist. Yeah.
Is there much more, in your opinion, we could have done to try and win the game? Because I thought the subs were fine, realistically.
No, I just think that it was a very evenly matched game. There weren't really clear-cut chances or clear misses for either team. We had a few shots, but it just I don't know what we could have done differently to have pushed forward. To be honest, I didn't hate the changes. I mean, I sat there and predicted 3 of them, so I guess maybe that swings it a little bit more biased. But yeah, it kind of was what it was. It petered out in the end, and then Sky Sports were all like, "Well, you can never sit comfortably with these two teams. There's always late drama in these games." And, that was true both times last season, and it was true in the Championship. And then, just nothing happened. We got this chance. This will be a good chance. Oh, the keeper caught it. All right, well, that'll be the end of the game. Oh, no, he's kicking it up. Oh, no, let's not lose it now. Oh, right, Baz got it. Oh, that is the end of the game. Like, all right, well.
Yeah. It's strange. It was strange that it could have been so easily predicted, I guess, is where I'm at. Is that we were very, very evenly matched. And I think it showed that
it was just like they had a few chances breaking through on us that were either sort of well defended or just not made the most of. And it was the same for us. We had a couple of half chances that sort of petered out or couldn't quite get it out from under their feet, and nothing really came of it. But yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I think a draw is a perfectly reasonable result for the game, to be honest.
Yeah.
It felt like a draw. It felt like a stalemate. And like you say, against another relegated team that are likely to be a promotion rival, a draw away from home, it's a good result.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much all we can really take from it, right, and move on from there. Did you get a chance to watch Jay Robinson's after interview, by the way?
I didn't yet. No, I did.
Absolutely incredible. That is a young lad that clearly did not want to be interviewed. which is very funny, because obviously he was giving very sort of it's good to get a goal, yep. And eventually they just went, "So Flynn, tell us about Jay Robinson."
Amazing.
And you can see Darren's absolutely laughing at the fact that he's like, "Well, okay, it's fine. I'll kick my media training into gear." I very, very much enjoyed it.
I did see that Will still described him as shy. So
yeah, and that's fine. Like, if he's gonna crack on, and again, we saw like glimpses of that the end of last season when I think we were all a bit shocked that Russ was giving him minutes. Not that we had anything to play for at that point. We said we should probably play all the kids, but like regardless, it's good to see that for like 2 seasons on the trot we've had someone come through. But I am also still acutely aware that I think maybe we just need like 1 or 2 extra players to bolster that. And like, because we would have had that previously, right? We would have had that in an Aribo or like in a Dozy. And I know that we're trying to trim the squad, and we have trimmed it in probably ways that aren't exactly the most popular, right? But at the same time, we just got to hope that, and it looks like there's probably going to be some business done within the next week.
Well, I've got some thoughts. That might have changed, but maybe we should tackle them after the break.
Yeah, that's what we should probably do. That second break that is always elusive and I forget about constantly. Here's a word from our partners at Zencastr.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner, with 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr.
And we are back, and every week we learn again why Greg is the one that usually hosts the podcast and I am the one that does not. I am the ranter, not the rantee. Very bad at keeping things within set times. That's why all of these podcasts that we're supposed to kind of aim for about a 20 to 25 minute mark usually end up at 30. So Gregory, you said to me you still had some thoughts about...
Yeah, so, I mean, you set me thinking, really, about what we could have done differently. And actually, as I'm thinking, reflecting on it now, obviously we had 2 players out with sickness today, with Damien Downs and Ross Stewart, both out sick, with presumably some sort of bug going around the camp, which is less than ideal. But actually, we talked before the game about these sort of buckets that you'd like to put the strikers in, not physically, like the profiles that they have, right? And actually, because they were both out today, all of the changes that we made were more or less like for like, right? So Dibbling came on when Robinson came off and played that sort of wider role, that sort of inside forward role, and Archer came on for Armstrong, and there's just more pace to run at the centre backs and put pressure on that way, and Manning for Wellington, pretty like for like, and we were kind of just missing that something a bit different. Whereas you kind of feel like maybe if we had, Downs or Stewart to come on, sort of to just give the defence something else different to worry about for a bit, maybe that could have made an impact.
Armstrong off, Archer on, Fernandez off, Matsuki on, Sugawara off, on, Fraser off. Like, everybody that we changed would have been very, very like to like. And you're right, there's nothing to maybe change up that game. And I think that shows you that it's funny, right? Because it's like we worry about the squad being too big, and we know that we need to trim it. But the problem is that unless you've got a solid tactic that works no matter what, and you're able to just switch out personnel, i.e. a Guardiola system, which, let's face it, we hate, you are a big, big hater of, and I'm very, very aware of that.
Yeah, ruined.
What you're left with is, not a lot, which means that we actually have the squad depth of a puddle, because we are trying to do something new and different and be able to change the game. And I think
I just think it's unfortunate that both of the players that would have offered that something different. Don't get me wrong, it's a big if, right? Because actually, Ross Stewart might have come on and immediately been bodied out of the game by their centre backs, and the same for Damien Downs. Damien Downs might have come on, got himself in a good position, and fluffed it, because unfortunately that's what we've seen from him so far. They might also have come on and got the winning goal and changed that round, but it was interesting. I mean, they were still attack-oriented changes, right? All of the players that we brought on were attacking players.
There was nothing there that said, let's sit back on a draw.
Yeah, we still went for it, as did Ipswich. And it was just a wonder if that something different might have been enough. Unfortunately, we'll never know. That's not how things work. If wishes were fishes and all that, right? The world is an ocean. But
last point I really wanted to make. So, obviously, considering I'm still worried about depth of goalkeepers, right? Mainly because I'm just like, we've just got Alex McCarthy, basically, or otherwise, if not, we've got a 17-year-old. But Baz is doing all right.
Yeah.
Turns out, actually completely reasonable for this level at the moment. Seems to have improved as a player during his time away and time being off the field and being injured.
A couple of decent saves, brave in coming out and absolutely clattering Smodics, which was a frightful shame.
And I think some of the things that he's had to do would not have been his fault if not for a poor defence.
Made a very smart save, I think, just before half time or just after half time, when one of their more promising players went through on goal and broke past and just sort of slightly scuffed it, but had to make a smart save low and to his right and got there and smashed it out. They had one off the post, which rather fortunately bounced back into his hands, which was fine. Yeah, I think he was solid. But look, I think that in the pre-match presser, it was touched upon, and Will Steele categorically came out and said, we need another goalkeeper because this isn't going to cut it. Like, we don't want to end up in a situation where we're putting pressure on the wrong people. And also, as he's the under-21s goalkeeper, sometimes you need 3 goalkeepers in training and he's not available. So,
yep. That's one of the...
Feels like confirmation that we'll see movement there somewhere before the end of the window.
It's not a lot of time left before the window closes. I think we essentially have a confirmed incoming at this point. But I don't really want to...
What are you talking about, mate? FIFA is a real-life simulation where in the career mode on FIFA, you have, like, each day is a button press, right, until it gets to deadline day, and then there's 15 button presses. It's exactly how it works.
I need you to understand that if FIFA was a proper simulator, Greg, I wouldn't have been able to sign Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi for Southampton Football Club.
No, FIFA's not a simulator for football. It's a simulator for time.
Right.
You missed
how much you lose of it, yeah?
Yeah, like each day up until the transfer deadline is just one click where something happens, and then deadline day is 12 clicks. So we've got plenty of time. We've got
I need you to understand.
We've got like a whole 24 clicks of a button. until the day's up, mate. Like, nothing to worry about here.
Mate, I need you to understand that you are one good PC away from getting Football Manager. And I don't think that responsibly as a friend and colleague that I should allow you to ever play that game. Because I think that it will completely consume you as a human being and will irreversibly change the way this podcast is hosted. Because I am bad enough for mentioning players that I've signed in that game. And the idea of you having it and being like, well, actually, these are the best way to take part in these negotiations is a terrifying prospect. So I'm quite glad. But we will end it on, for me, as you pointed out, I think that I don't really know what would have made the difference. Maybe someone different that we already had, or maybe someone different that we don't. But I think that if it shows how evenly matched we are, if we want to get that first spot instead of potentially the second, and remember, this is a wishful thinking, but I'm feeling positive still at the moment, then it will be interesting to see what they do to resolve that problem, and whether that means that there are deals that need to get over the line before deals for the incomings come in. We just got to try desperately. Now, I know it's going to be a big thing to have faith in Sports Republic. I know that is a controversial opinion for some,
Right. Look,
not others. And hope that it all sorts itself out. And if it doesn't play off the way,
we're still undefeated, right? Which is much better than that lot down the road.
Yeah,
that's all that matters, isn't it?
It was really enjoyable to tell my Portsmouth supporting mother-in-law that they lost yesterday. How's Portsmouth getting on? I was like, classic, losing. Oh, don't say that. And I'm like, I will certainly say that. That is all I will say. Like, anything else would get me in trouble.
But yeah, undefeated. That's all we can take from it.
The key takeaway here, everyone, is that we are undefeated. We have won twice. We've won once in the league, once in the cup. We've drawn today. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't the sexy football that Will still wanted because, let's face it, immovable object hits unstoppable force.
But mate, the treble's still on.
God, every time I try and end this with a realistic outcome for how we might be in the next game, you completely bulldoze it and go, no, we're going to win the league. So I guess that's where I'll leave it. According to Greg, everybody, we will win the league. Thank you so much for joining us in our review of an expected outcome, realistically. We will be back tomorrow with everybody's favourite day of the week, Transfer Tuesday. We might even have an actual confirmed incoming. Who knows? Well, guess we'll find out. But thank you very much for joining us, as always. Catch us all on the social medias. We're on all of them. Facebook, X, the Everything app, YouTube, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram. That's all the ones in my head that I remember that I do. That's where we are. Thank you very much for joining us. Try to stay cool in this really hot weather if you're around the South Coast. And until the next one, goodbye!
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.